I'm Lex.
And I'm Tay.
And this is our take on college. Hello. Welcome back. This is part 2 with Skylar Larson. And today's episode, we are going to be talking about college, social media, and mental health. As mentioned in the last episode, Skylar has a TikTok, and that is kind of going to be a little bit of a focal point today. I mean, Taylor and I both have TikTok as well, and I have just now kind of been getting into wanting to be in a little bit of content creation, but Skylar has an amazing TikTok. I shouted that out. I'm going to shout it out again. You guys really, I'm going to have it in the description below. Go follow her. Go check her out. Super, super cool. But we're going to kind of kick off today with obviously talking about your TikTok. So, just tell us, like, obviously what you love about TikTok, what you don't like, and kind of just like how you got here, what your vision for your personal like social media is, and just anything else that you want to talk about.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I love you for that. And yeah, so I have always kind of been interested in creating videos. I remember back when I was really little, I would play around on like iMovie, either like recreating movie scenes or just finding topics on YouTube that I like and trying to recreate those videos long before ever posting anything. I posted my first ever YouTube video my freshman year of high school, and that was just like a day trip vlog to Chicago with my mom. And throughout high school, I kind of posted really irregularly on YouTube, just really when I wanted to for fun. And I think like everyone, I started using TikTok more in probably like late 2019, early 2020. I had been on the app ever since it bought out Musical.ly. Like as soon as I saw that icon change, I was like, ooh, what's this? And I would be scrolling through the For You page. But I didn't actually start posting myself until, like I said, 2019, 2020. And when I did start posting on TikTok, it was more just following trends that other people were doing. I think last year was when I really started kind of taking creative control, if you say, about posting my own ideas. And I would say my first video that ever did pretty good was in high school, and it was that trend of like showing the prom dresses that you didn't buy. Sorry, your reaction totally got me there. I think that one got like, I don't know, 100K likes on it. But again, that was just more like doing trends. And then last year, what really kind of kickstarted it was my dorm room essentials. And I know we might get into that a little bit, but I would post these slideshows of like certain items that I thought really helped me in college, and I would put some advice about them. And I think I made like 5 of these. I know one was just an overview of essentials. One was like bathroom essentials, and I don't quite remember the other ones that I made, but I did that. And then throughout the summer, I think I tried to play off of that a little bit more with other college essentials. I think I did college outfit essentials. But this year, I really wanted to start making stuff that sort of voiced my, I would say, opinion on topics, or just like an outfit for me to express, an outlet for me to express how I was feeling about certain topics, kind of relating to school or relating to mental health or relating to social media as a whole. And that's when I had the idea to make like Let's Talk videos. And I've made 2 on social battery and then social media and comparison. So yeah.
And obviously, like as we have said, Taylor and I both watch Skylar's TikToks. And when we were discussing about what we wanted to do going forward with the podcast, we wanted special guests. And Taylor and I had discussed bringing Skylar on because we just love her content and what you want to do with social media. And I think that that's super important. I myself am a huge mental health advocate. And I know Taylor and I have had several discussions, especially last year with the things that we've talked about. And we want this podcast to be a place for people to come and feel safe to, ask us questions on our Q&A polls on Spotify, or comment, DM us privately, like whatever it may be. We're just starting out, but we really want this to grow and be a safe space for college kids, people that are coming to college, people that are out of college, because, a lot of this is about that, but also just a safe place for people to come and listen and get advice, or, have something that maybe brightens their day or helps with that. So I absolutely love that. And I think that that's so important. I know myself have definitely smiled once or twice when I've seen those, because I think that that just really speaks to authenticity and really like what's important when we are here. Obviously we're here for school and we do so many other things, but to remember that, us as beings have to take care of ourselves to be able to do any of that. So yeah, Tay, if you have anything that you want to interject before we kind of move on into the Dorm Essential series.
Yeah, so I remember it was right when we started our podcast. Skylar reposted one of our things and I DM'd her. I was like, thank you so much. And you were just so like nice and like genuine about it. And then I looked at your TikTok and I was like, I love her vibe. Like, I love this. I'm getting stuff out of it. And I'm like, this is just great. I was like, we need her on here. This is something that I think everybody should, take a look at. And I think that it's great that we're like not really plugging Skylar's TikTok, but like it's because we genuinely think that it would be beneficial for you to look into. So
No, I was so happy when you guys reached out to me. Like, I am seriously so excited to be here. And podcasting is something that I'm not familiar with. I almost said that last episode. I think the only time that I've ever recorded on a podcast was for a class. And so this is a little bit new to me. So thank you for bearing with me as I stumble over words a little bit. But yeah.
Of course. And this is, new for us too. Like we discussed last year when we've mentioned before in I think our first episode, we just had so many events happen in our life, like living in the dorm. We were just like, this is so like movie, like we need like a TV show. And then we were like, what could we actually do that like is beneficial, but like also fun and like something where we can like document things that have happened. And we thought a podcast, and, technically this will be our 10th episode, even though it is part 2 of 7. I think that's right, because 6 and then 7 and then first part of this would have been 8 and then or 9. Okay. Either way, not good at math. So, but we just started and we've really loved it, but we are so excited. And Sarah mentioned on her episode, she's only been on one other podcast and it was for a show choir thing. So like, you don't have to be a pro at it. It's just something that we are so excited. And like we both said, we're so excited to have you here because this is just such an important thing. But to be a little bit more lighthearted and fun, let's talk about your Dorm Essential video series, because I started to see it when we were getting ready to move out of the dorms, but I thought it was so genius and so beneficial, because we're such in the day and age where I feel like we are always just like on the skirts of something, and it's like we're the generation that puts it out because we didn't have it. Because I really feel like there are just so many things that, I used to watch YouTube videos about random things and I feel like they were beneficial, but like they were very scripted. And I feel like yours was, obviously like you planned out what you wanted to say, but like it was just very like honest and very beneficial. And you did it in a way that you were like, it seemed like this is what you wanted out of it. And I really feel like that's what most people want out of something that's like supposed to be giving them advice. So yeah, let's talk about that.
So I wish I remembered how I thought of this idea, but for the life of me, I do not. And I would like to think that I was kind of, I don't want to say ahead, but like when I started posting the dorm essentials, it was kind of on the beginning end of when people started posting those. And I think that really kind of helped me. But I thought that was really interesting. I think I started posting them late. I don't know. It was later last year. Might have been still kind of early spring. But yeah, I've always been the type of person to list everything out before I do things, whether that's like packing lists or school supply lists or just scheduling things in general. And I would say I'm a very visual person in that way. So creating these just like item list for school was something that I would have personally found helpful. So I thought it was really cool to be able to provide that for people who don't really know what to bring to school, especially because I don't have any older siblings or any siblings at all. So I didn't have anything to base it off of. So I was basing everything that I needed initially for school off of things that I'd seen online.
And I just want to add to that, like, I feel like for myself, like, I'll let Taylor speak on it here in a second, but I just feel like every time that I was looking at like advice videos, it was always like in a weird part where it would be like, oh, like, this is me like buying things that I'm taking into freshman year. It was never like after, because you were doing it at the end where we were getting ready to leave and you were like, this is what I brought and this is how I used it. And I just feel like because you're such an organized person like the both of us are, like you utilized it in such a way that it was very much like, it wasn't just for like one thing. It just like it was multifaceted, multi-purposed, and it just fit very well and made sense, I guess, because I'm also a very structured person. So like I need things to be logical. So I just like thought that was super beneficial, and that's why I really liked it. And obviously, you know, TikTok has kind of taken over as a form of like social media, and it, it's kind of taken over a little bit on YouTube. So like people are going to TikTok now for like advice videos and stuff like that. And so I just feel like it was very concise, very straight to the point. And I just feel like when we were getting ready to come to school, or like when we were looking into it, I just feel like YouTube just was not like giving me that. And so I just wanted to say that. But Taylor, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah. And I think that just the format and the structure of your video, like with the slides of like showing exactly what it was and then you showing it in your room and that you actually used it, I think that was so beneficial, because I'm not even going to say some, I'm going to say the majority of the videos that we saw before coming to college was like haul, like this is what I'm getting, like, but then I don't see them using it. I see them getting so many like decorations and things that's just, not that decorations and stuff like that are stupid, but like you should be spending your money on things that are useful. Like my personal favorite thing that Skylar put in her video was the shoe ottoman. I also have one, and I was like, yeah, it's cute, but like that's functional. Like it serves a purpose. And I think that that's why your videos just come across so much better and so much more helpful, just because you actually were saying, hey, this is the product right here. I genuinely use this. So I think that that's why her videos were so great.
Thank you so much. I would also say the ottoman was probably my favorite thing that I had. And I also got lucky when I started posting these videos, because I think it was right around the time that TikTok introduced the slideshow features. So I think the slides as a whole are honestly pretty cool, because a lot of times, like think about majority of the times when you watch TikToks, it's like you're waiting for class to start or something like that. Maybe you can't have your volume on all the way. So having a slideshow that you can pause and be able to like read it without volume is pretty helpful, especially when it's things like lists where you want to go back and look at it later and you don't want to have to like go through the video to find when somebody was talking about something.
Yeah, I agree. Like I remember specifically because like we mentioned in the last episode, Skylar and I had a class together first semester of last year, and we sat together at the front of the class, and we, all the three of us with our other friend at the front, we connected on social media, and then I'm pretty sure a little bit after that we started following each other on like TikTok. And I didn't see, like I saw a couple of your videos and I would see your page every once in a while, but I remember when that like came up and you were starting to gain like a little bit more traction with that, like you had said with the algorithm and stuff. It had just come out or pretty like recently, and I just remember being like, that is such a good utilization of it, because I feel like I hadn't really, because it was new, I hadn't seen many things that I was kind of like, oh, like that's like good, like that, like to me it was just like a really, and not that people weren't using it, I just felt like it was kind of like you just really were, you were playing the game. Like it was good. Like I just really, really, really liked that. So if you kind of want to add anything else on like your TikTok or about the series or anything else as far as that goes, we'll kind of touch on that and then we'll move on a little bit.
I think that's pretty much all I have to say on that series in specific. So if we want to move right along, that's totally cool with me.
Perfect. So the next thing that we're going to talk about now is we're going to kind of start to correlate Well, I guess we'll actually get into that a little bit later. We'll move on to like the next topic and then we'll bring them together. We're going to talk about social battery in college. Taylor and I, last year, we'll kind of just give our little piece on it. We did not go out a lot. Like, I think I went to like 2 PCPs by myself, and then we went to one on Halloween, and it ended up being a bust. I mean, the 2 that I went by, I mean, I was with other people, but it just was not college like in the movies. Like, it seems like something that is so just like, I mean, and sometimes it is like what it is in the movies, but like the social like aspect and the feeling that you're supposed to get from it, I never felt. I never was like at a party and was like feeling euphoric and like having an amazing time. Like, I went and was like, I would so rather be in the dorm right now with Taylor watching a movie, eating snacks, and like going to bed, because I was like, this is just not, and it wasn't for me. And I think I learned that. But like, as far as like social battery goes, I think I was really depressed about what was happening in school. So my social battery immediately was cut in half. And then I only wanted to surround myself with Taylor and my boyfriend because it was comfortable. And first semester went pretty well as far as like classes and everything. And then we got to second semester and it was just like everything hit the fan. So like I just was, and I joined a sorority, so I was having to like gain like that social battery again. And I just really felt disconnected from everybody and everything. And so my social battery is still trying to like fix itself after that. And we can get further into that later. But yeah, like since coming to college, like I think I've very much like changed the way that I look at things, because in high school, my social battery was very different than what it is now. And Tay, if you want to speak on that before we let Skylar get in on it.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, personally for me, I'm very introverted, I would say, but it kind of doesn't make sense. But like when I'm like finally comfortable with people, that's when I become like the extrovert, right? So then it takes so much of me to get comfortable that I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, like now I have to go back to the dorm. Now I have to go back to my room. Like I need to recharge, because like it took so much for me to finally be comfortable that when I get that burst of like, I want to be an extrovert, it's already gone. So, I mean, that's kind of how I see myself, that extroverted introvert. I don't even know, but you get what I mean. Yeah.
I think there's totally a word for that. Is it like ambivert or something? I'm totally saying that wrong, so don't quote me. But I would consider myself pretty similar. I think that for the most part, I would consider myself very much in the middle. Like I said in one of my videos, can be perfectly happy at a party with my friends, but then I can also be perfectly happy by myself in my dorm. And I do find a lot of joy from getting to go home and relax and recharge by myself. I think I always need that recharge to be able to go out and be social. But yeah, like you said, I also didn't really go out a ton last semester, or yeah, I guess last semester, last year. I think I went to like 3 frat parties, 2 of which were at a different school. But it just, and as I looked at my own social life, comparing it to other people, and I know we're going to talk more about like comparison in regards to social media a little bit later, but I felt like I was not really doing what everybody else was, and trying to find people to connect with got really a little bit hard as a result of that. And I didn't know if I should be doing something different, because I am a big advocate to the fact that like part of your tuition is going to the fact that you should be socializing and meeting people. But I also had the view of, I am paying so much money to be here and I didn't want to party my tuition away, basically. And it got a little bit hard to like balance that, because I did go out with friends a lot and that didn't affect me academically, but I also felt like I wasn't being as social as other people and I didn't know if I should be or not.
I just want to like put out there, because I did go through with like sorority recruitment. I think when I was like getting ready to come into college and like first semester, I think a lot of my like FOMO or whatever I was having was coming from like, oh, like I need to be going to frat parties. Like I feel like that's just like the norm of what people are doing. But I feel like Taylor and I quickly learned that we are very much like wine night girls, like within our friend group, or like we want to host like dinner parties, like stuff like that. Not that we drink underage, I should preface that. But you know what I mean? The aesthetic of like with your friends, like you have like dinner parties and you just like have like movie nights. Like you are a homebody person that hangs out with your people. And I feel like, and we've talked about this, like unfortunately, we haven't really been able to do a lot because we both have been busy, but like we wanted to have Saturday night dinners and we're trying to hopefully get that back on track later this year. But like next year, depending on our like living situations, like I would rather host dinner parties and have friends come over and do like fun events where we like paint candles or make like do something fun and like have people come over, watch a movie and hang out and just like have a fun time instead of going out to a fraternity party, because I just quickly learned that that's like not who I am. And I think that I completely like relate on that, where I felt like I realized that that's not what I wanted. And then was like, but should I? Because I feel like everybody else does that or is like wanting that, and there's like something wrong because no one else really seems to be hanging out with their friends unless, you know, again, being in Greek life, it's a little bit different. But like before I was in that, like I just met a lot of people that were like frats, like going out to these parties all the time, like house parties of like people that you didn't know, that you had heard through like a friend. And like that was like a big thing. And my first thought was like safety, like, okay, maybe not. But then on top of that, it was like the posts that you would see from people. It was like what you'd hear people talk about. And I was like, well, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I not like doing this right? And I agree with like not being able to make friends, like, or meet like the right people. It just kind of was like, you know, and we didn't really talk about it much in class, but like, you know, we had gone to like an apartment party, like I think one time together, maybe twice or something like that. And that was like super fun. But again, that was more like chill. Like you had like a smaller group of people and it was like most of the kids like went to school together. Like it was one of those things. But like, I just feel like the kids that I made in class, obviously, we're not really talking about much like what we're doing outside of school or like classroom stuff. So like, I found it very hard to like find friends because Taylor and I very much like were on the same level, but I just feel like the people that we were around were not feeling the same way. So it was very hard to meet people that wanted to do the same things as you. And I felt like there was something wrong.
Yeah, so I know there's some girl on TikTok, I'm never going to remember her name, but I stole this from her, but she said that her favorite part about like going out was getting ready with her friends and then when they came back afterwards and just sat together and like talked about it. And I'm like, that's so me. Like when we're there, like but like when we're like, okay, we're getting ready, like, we're gonna do this. Like, it's like your little friend group, or like when we would get ready before we would go somewhere. Happiest point, go to the middle, it's like, okay, like, I'm here, like, all these people, like, whatever. Then when we're leaving, I'm like, yes, we're leaving. And then we're just, like, back to wherever we're going, and we're just, like, sitting and talking again, like, just about, like, not necessarily what happened at where we were, but just, like, kind of, like, the debrief or whatever, but, like, those are my favorite parts. And I guess that's just part of the whole like introvert kind of vibe. But yeah.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like I'll like a big party, but I could not do that 4 nights of the week like some people do. I like even with the smaller like group get-togethers, it'll hit a certain point of the night and I'm like, I'm at 0. I need to leave.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like, I think that definitely happened the night that we went to that one apartment party. Like, I had brought a friend from the dorm and I was just like, I think mentally overall was just kind of drained already. So going out, I was like, all right, it'll be fun. And it was like you and me and then our friend Emma that we've like from our floor that we brought. And then this other girl from our media class, it was like her group of friends. And it was very fun. Everybody was so nice. Like there was nothing wrong. I just was like, at that point, I was ready to leave. I was ready to go. And I, you know, wanted to go back to the dorm and curl up in bed and go to sleep. And so I think it's just like really hard sometimes, you know, not feeling guilty about it, because I think that's a really big point of like contention within myself. And I feel like some people feel that way too within themselves, is just feeling guilty of like, you know, wanting to step away and taking time for yourself.
Yeah. And like you said, back to the hitting the point of the night, like people would always be asking me, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm completely fine. I'm tired. Like, there's nothing wrong. I'm not mad at anybody. And that's another thing. I feel like a lot of people have told me that they thought I didn't like them when I first met them. And I'm like, no, sometimes I'm reserved when I first meet people. And then I'm even a little bit reserved when I'm in social situations afterwards. But it has nothing to do with like me not liking people or me being upset or me having something wrong at that given time. It's just kind of my social battery. But yeah, I had a train of thought after that as well, but I forgot what it was. So I'll let you guys continue, and then if I think of it.
Yeah, just let me know. With that, we're gonna kind of, I think that's a pretty decent segue though, with talking about like ourselves. We kind of were thinking about like self-care days. Like, what does that really mean? And I feel like it means something different for everybody. Some people call it like mental health days. But they're so important in this day and age. We are finally at a place, I feel like, it still, needs advocation, but like mental health is finally, I feel like, at least here at college, like I know that there are a lot of professors that recognize mental health days. For myself, I don't know if everybody's had that experience, but I've had so many of my professors like recognize that, which is so amazing that we have, people, even like older professors, like realize that that's like a need for students. But like for me, I feel like a self-care day is obviously like letting myself sleep, because I get so stressed that I have like insomnia and I can't like sleep. And so I usually, if like we had like a day, I'd sleep in, and then I'd probably get up and I would maybe like watch something on Netflix. I definitely, like if it was a school day or whatever, I would for sure like make sure that I had work done. Like I didn't want to get behind on anything, but I'd make sure that like that's all good. I'd definitely call my parents, text my siblings and my grandma, like, and just check in with everybody and kind of just be like, hey, like I'm not feeling the best day, but I love you guys, and like maybe I could call you later and talk to you or like whatever. I'd probably treat myself with like a coffee or like something nice, like outside of like my living food situation, because at my sorority house I have meals at certain times of the day, but I would probably go out like somewhere that I really like and get something nice, and then probably try to see if Taylor was free or someone was free to hang out. I would do like skincare. I'd take a really long shower. I would probably paint. I've been really big on watercolor since this summer, so I got a watercolor like set from Mackinac when we visited, so definitely would do that. But like just kind of finding things, read, find things that really like help me. But that's kind of like what a self-care day looks like for me. Tay, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm the turn off my phone completely. I feel like I have to unplug from that completely to really just be like, okay, we're gonna like read, or we're gonna like journal, or like I'm gonna go, my mom's famous line, just take a walk. I'm just gonna go take a walk. Like I feel like I have to unplug completely to really just like refresh. And I think that's, I would say all in all, like I would do different things throughout the day depending on, but definitely my one consistent with the self-care day is just unplugged completely.
So I did slightly remember what I was going to say before, and it has to do with balance looking different for everyone. And I think that definitely applies to self-care days and how they will look different for everyone. And I think us going around and telling what self-care days looks like for us personally is a great testament to that. So if you take away anything, it would be, don't believe everything that you see on social media as what you have to be doing, because what you have to be doing is what is going to help you personally, and not just what's going to look aesthetic. So for me personally, my self-care days, I often have to work on work that I maybe didn't get done in the past, because that's where my big stressors are coming from. And so in order for me to feel better, I need to take care of those stressors. So a lot of times I will try to use them to relax while doing my homework, and also cleaning, because I can't work unless I am in a clean space. So I used to hate cleaning, and now it honestly makes me happy to be able to like vacuum my dorm. But yeah. And then obviously, like you said, the long showers and skincare and walking outside.
Yeah, I think that it's just, like you said, I think it's just super cool to see again, like how important difference is between everybody, because everyone is different, and we shouldn't be, there is nothing that is set in stone that tells us this is how we should be, making ourselves happy or like living life. Like if something makes you happy, obviously if it's not like some sort of capital offense, but like if there's a certain way that you go about like, organizing yourself or, participating in self-care, like you should be doing it the way that it makes you happy, because that's exactly what it is. It shouldn't be something that's done for the aesthetic because, obviously social media makes things look really great at times, but that doesn't always mean that it's being beneficial, because you never know, someone could be getting paid to say that, or there's like some sort of sponsor in there. And I was mentioning before we started this episode, Skylar has done some work with some brands, and I have as well. And when I was talking about becoming a campus rep for a specific brand that I ended up not going through with, it was because I don't use their products, and I didn't want to become a campus representative for my entire university if I wasn't going to be using them and paying testament to the fact that they like worked, which I bet that they work great for some people. I just personally don't use it. I personally prefer to use other brands. So the two like skincare brands that I do work with, I use them literally every single day and will probably die on the rock that I love them. But like, it's just one of those things where like social media, just aesthetic and everything, like people probably are not always going to be telling you the truth about their personal preferences.
Yes. And adding on to that, like I found after I started working with some brands, my mindset on like, are people paid to say this, completely shifted. Because now whenever I see like a trending product, I'm like, is it actually trending, or are they just making a bunch of people say this? And yeah, you really just have to look at social media through that lens of you don't really know if it's true. So just do you. I know that sounds like a rhyme, but like literally.
I was going to say Dr. G would be really proud of us because our class was literally about media literacy and being able to depict what is like propaganda, and not to make that sound like bad, but like propaganda is like an overall arching like word of like what is being used to like pursue a personal like or some sort of a motivated agenda. So like people are going to tell you what is going to get them paid. Like at the end of the day, we just kind of have to remember that like the things that I put out on social media, I am being sent like PR, but I also am not going to lie because I literally use those products every single day. If you looked at my skincare regimen, you can come into my house. I would let you come in and let you see that I quite literally use those products on a daily basis because they changed my life. They helped me bring confidence back into my skincare routine because I'm someone that has dealt with cystic acne from hormones for like since forever. And so like, we both said I think that's the important differentiation when we're talking about media, self-care, and just comparison, is that we have to remember we need to kind of be like sleuths of our own and realize like, is this something that's being made off of commission? Is it really trending, or is it because this company is paying a bunch of people to put it out there because they want to like have their brand like shoot through the sky? Which there are a lot of brands that I use that I definitely was because it was trending. And I will say that I really do love majority of them. I actually love their products and I swear by them, but that's not always the case. But with that, we're going to kind of get into our last little bit of social media health, mental health and comparisons. And we're going to talk about that, is like really talking about social media and comparisons. And Skylar, actually, if you kind of want to give us the start of your opinion on that.
Sorry. Yeah, for sure. I'm also going to reference our media class when I talk about this a little bit, but I think it's very important to recognize both the negatives and the positives of social media, because there is definitely both. But I think one of the biggest problems that social media poses for mental health is comparison. And we learned a lot in our media class that your brain kind of creates its own unconscious processing of information. And I think comparison can go into this heavily, because if you are scrolling through social media and the first thing you think when you look at an image is, how do I compare to this person? How are they better than me? What am I doing wrong in comparison to them? Then over time, that's going to be the way that your brain views all images that you see. And a lot of times this can happen without you fully realizing that it's happening. I know that I personally struggle with this, and it can be really hard to reverse it. So I don't know if either of you guys have.
Yeah, wanted to say that that's complete. I mean, I feel like, especially as young women, like, we have been fed from and today I was let me just start with this. I was in my integrated marketing communications class today, and there was a professor that I mentioned to Skylar. He had come in and they were making a film, and I won't get into that because that's not the important part, but what he said stuck out to me. He said, young women from a very early age, and I love Disney. I will be a Disney stan until I die. I literally told my boyfriend, I said, we are going to Disney. And he goes, not until we have kids. And I was like, gosh darn it. So I have to wait until then, unless I go with my family or my friends. But not the important point. But the professor had come in and said, he was like, it's crazy that young women grow up with this Disney ideology, and it's not always surrounding men, but it's the fact that as little kids, we saw princesses and we didn't see, much diversity because the early age of Disney wasn't really that diverse, but it was showing you like this image of beauty, and it was showing you what elegance looked like, and the expectation that, women were supposed to feel a certain way about men or act a certain way. But women, they were portrayed a certain way, and that's what we grew up with. And again, I love Disney. I watch Disney with my little sister all the time. I think that it's a company that's put a lot out for little kids and everybody alike, and they've really kind of diversified everything that they've done. But it was just crazy for him to say. He's like, young women have put such a strain on themselves, and it comes from something that is supposed to bring you entertainment, but the underlying social tones of it really leave an image on such a young brain that makes you grow up and think, okay, well, this is how I'm supposed to act, or this is what I'm supposed to do. And when you kind of start to break away from that because you feel a different way, then you think something's wrong with me, because that's the ideology that was put on you as like a little kid. I mean, Tay, how do you feel?
Yeah, so personally, I have like 2 points with this. Like, when I was little, I never was like, looked at a Disney princess and I was like, oh my gosh, like she looks like me. Like, I never thought that. And then growing up, which this is gonna sound really bad, but like my favorite movie growing up was Shrek. And like when Fiona was like the ogre, right? I was like, oh my God, me. Like that's like what I related to, because I was like, I don't relate to these like princesses, right? So like then in my brain I'm like, oh my God, Fiona's me, which that sounds so bad, and I'm like so much better about it now. But I remember being like, yeah, like I'm Fiona, which that sounds really terrible. But and then my other point was, so we all know my Instagram got like deleted, right? So there were 3 solid days where I hadn't made a new account yet, didn't have it. Because, you wake up, you scroll. So then automatically you see someone like Skylar said, and you're like comparing. And then you're like, okay, well, right off the bat, straight out the day, I'm already like down on myself, right? Those like 3 days of like not doing that, I just remember being like so much more like happier. But then of course I ended up re-downloading Instagram again. And like I noticed I didn't refollow like certain people. I'm like, maybe that's like a reason. Like, maybe that's why, like, subconsciously, I'm like, okay, maybe that isn't good for me. But, yeah, so that's my, like, 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I have gotten to the point where I don't really feel guilty about unfollowing people anymore. For the longest time, I did, especially, like, people from my high school, because I didn't want to be that person to, like, unfollow everyone after high school. But, honestly, if, like, it's your following feed. You want it to be a positive environment for you to be in. So if you're seeing things that aren't making it a positive place for you to be, there is no shame in unfollowing people, unfollowing business accounts, unfollowing like Instagram models, unfollowing celebrities. There's no shame in that.
I completely agree. I mean, like you said, it's your following feed. No one's going to see it because it's yours. You follow specific people and they follow specific people, and you follow them for different reasons. And that's like the important part, is it's supposed to be about what you want to be about. And that was something I talked about this summer with one of my friends that we might have on the podcast later. We met up for lunch at Sweet Green and just had like a conversation about, social media and like and my boyfriend and I even had this conversation, is like, I love our relationship. And I remember when we first started dating, I waited like 3 months until I like soft launched him because I was really serious about him and I didn't want to put it out there because there are people in my life who we are not friends. And if they listen to this, they know exactly who they are, who are very, very much invested in my life in an unhealthy way that it's none of their business. Like my personal life is my personal life, and I want to if I want to share it with you, then I want to. And that's like the thing about social media is people then become obsessed with knowing things about other people, and it really, social media was created to be a tool, and we have warped that genuinely into something that, and I believe that it still has the potential to be a tool. And there are people like Skylar and like Taylor and myself who are using it as a platform to teach people about mental health or about things that we find important to ourselves. But there are some people that genuinely use it just to stalk people from high school because they are still bothered by whatever was going on 2+ years ago. And so it's just crazy to me. But anyways, you know, I don't feel bad. I've unfollowed people. I've removed myself. I've stopped posting. Like I posted my boyfriend for like the first like year of our relationship. I started like posting very consistently, and I love our pictures and I don't hate on anyone that posts, but I personally had a conversation with him because of the situation that I was in. And I was like, I need to pull back a little bit. I need to post more about things that make me happy. And obviously I want to post about you, but I also don't like the fact that I'm finding out from third party people that people are so invested in our life and our relationship that me posting on it has become like, not a problem, but like something that I just don't want to stress about because people shouldn't be interjecting into our relationship because it's not theirs. And so like I've kind of just posted things that make me happy. And of course I still post him and all of that fun stuff, but I've really turned my social media accounts into things that make me happy, and I'm not doing it for, not like, of course, like when I'm posting about the podcast or if I'm posting about something that's important to me, of course, I want it to reach as many people as possible. But it's also, again, like for myself. It isn't always for other people. That's like the important part is, of course, I want it to reach as many people as possible if it's beneficial. If it's just like a silly little TikTok, like, okay, I don't really mind. I think it's just fun and I want to have it there as memory wise. But like, if it's something like this, like, of course I want it to reach as many people as possible because people should feel that they're not alone in that. And that's, you know, kind of what I wanted to say on that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to touch on like all three of the things that you talked about right there. First of all, I would like to say I am a little bit guilty of checking in on people from high school to see.
Like, I will say you too, but like I've caught myself and I've been able to rework that.
Yes, exactly. Because I say I'm guilty of it as in the way of I recognize that is not healthy. And I have tried to catch myself because, again, that goes into comparison of where you are in life as opposed to like maybe people that you had animosity between in the past. Like, and that's not healthy. Everyone has their own paces and that's good for everyone. And then like you said about like soft launching or like not posting your boyfriend as much. Me and my boyfriend have been dating for like almost 4 years. And honestly, I wish I could go back and like soft launch or do like the more like sweet, not like hidden photos, but like kind of just like less out there. Cause I also went through a time where I would post like very consistently of my relationship. And again, like that's not everyone's business.
And I want to add really quickly before you finish with that. And it's not even like, it doesn't like, I was so happy obviously posting him and he loved it. It was just one of those things where we realized that because social media and comparison is so toxic at times, it was draining for us to be dealing with people who were wanting our relationship, comparing themselves to our relationship, wanting one of us out of the relationship so they could be with our significant other. And it's like, that is not the point of this. I'm posting pictures with him because we look cute. I think the last time I posted him was for my 20th birthday back in July. And that was because he got to come to have a really nice dinner with me and my family in downtown Indianapolis. And we both dressed up. I mean, my whole family was dressed up, but it had been a second since we both got to do that together. And I loved our photos and I wanted to do that because there were some like hidden pictures, like cute, like soft launch pictures. But then there were, you know, us together. Like the first one is us together. But like, and it's not anything bad because there are people that post their boyfriend and they're very happy. But I think also for myself personally, not that everybody feels this way, I was definitely going through a lot in high school, and I was using that to make me feel better about myself by being like, okay, well, I have a really loving and supportive boyfriend. I need to post him all the time on social media. And so that was like the thing. It was like, you know, I love him. And then he started to notice, and he was like, it's not that I don't want you to do that, but I know that you're struggling, and that's not what our relationship is. And I don't want it to be that way. So it was never anything bad. It was kind of becoming unhealthy for myself, and I needed to pull myself out of that. And that's kind of what I've done.
Yes. Yes. I think I went through a time where I put a lot of my self-worth on my relationship, and it's just not sustainable, because if anything were to happen, or even like without things happening, you want to be happy with who you are as an individual before you're happy with who you are in a relationship. So, a little bit off topic of social media.
No, you're good. But yeah, that's kind of like, you know, I've kind of given like my piece on that. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on anything else, like Tay, if you've got anything that you want to interject before I think Skylar finishes us up, and then we get into our last little end segment, if you have anything you want to say.
No, I mean, you guys have like pretty much like covered it very well. And I mean, with restarting my Instagram, like I'm really just like, I used to care about like how many likes it got or whatever. Like I remember one post got like 400 and I was like, top of the world, right? Restarted my Instagram. I think the picture I posted for my 20th got like 100 likes, and I didn't even like gauge that. Like until like I was like, oh, like it says it in this bottom corner, but like I wasn't constantly checking it. And I think finally, like, because I know we've talked about it, like I was very upset when my Instagram got deleted, but like to like restart and just like this time, like I'm really doing it just because like it's for me. Like I'm putting out like what I want to put out, like had a fun time with you and my other friends, like putting that out there. Like I don't care about like, I don't know, like just dumb stuff like that. And I think that you guys covered stuff like that very well. So
this goes perfectly into what I was going to say. Post for yourself. Don't post for other people. And this is something that I still struggle with a lot. And I struggled more so with it in high school. I was definitely guilty of like posting a selfie with like a petty song or like a petty caption to a post, and not really necessarily like attention grabbing, but like a little bit. And that's not what social media should be about. And I find I go back to the caring about likes. I find myself, I don't really care as much on Instagram, but now with TikTok, it has gotten to the point where I do get somewhat disappointed when I see a video not get as much traction. And I have to kind of remind myself, like, that doesn't matter. I'm putting out content that I enjoy, and it's stuff that I enjoy making. And the outcome of an algorithm doesn't determine whether or not I did a good job with that. And honestly, like, because I know the first Let's Talk video I made went really well. I got a lot of comments of people talking that they related. And then my social media one that I posted, I think I got like 100 likes and then maybe like 14 comments. And at first, that really kind of hurt me because I was like, I worked so hard on this video. Why didn't people receive it? And at the end of the day, now I look at that and I'm like, you know what? There were still 14 people who commented on that video saying that it meant something to them. There was even like an intern for therapy who talked about how she was going to use the video with an eating disorder group for young girls. And I was like, why am I upset about this? Like, there is people who actually found worth in this. And even if there wasn't, like, I found worth in it. So, yeah, it's just, you should really post for yourself and find happiness in that, not in how other people receive it.
Absolutely. I think that is perfectly said. I mean, as someone who struggled with an eating disorder and went through all of like the therapy and everything for it, and I, as someone who's dealt with social media in comparison, like I said, I I don't know if I mentioned while we were talking on the pod, but I know we were talking about it off camera, but I truly enjoyed your videos because, I mean, they were beneficial to me. I wasn't one of the 14 that commented. I should have been, but I will say that those videos made me smile and made me feel good. And that's the point, is like you did something and it meant something. And even though people didn't necessarily interact the way that you thought, I know that it touched 100 people liked it. And then 14 people commented. And that's really, you enjoyed making it. You made it for yourself, and other people got something out of it. And now it's being used to help people that are going through a really hard struggle. And that's amazing. With that, we are going to end on a fun little note to round out our 2-part series with Skylar. We're going to talk about game days and get ready with me outfits. So Skylar pulled inspiration from a trend that's going around, which, I mean, I would too. It is the decorative boot trend, where people will dress up cowboy Western boots with lace or any kind of like little thing on like the side where they've got the loophole. And just a fun little tidbit is that we are actually together in a ticket package for basketball season. So keep an eye out on our social medias for fun pictures that we will be posting together. You don't have to like it, but just keep an eye out if you want to see it, because I know that we will be taking some and I will be posting some because they are going to make me happy and I want them to be out there for myself to see when I open my social media. So I'm going to let Skylar kind of talk about a little bit of the inspiration behind that, and then we'll have Tay interject and we'll wrap us on out.
Yeah, they can't get rid of me after this episode. So get ready with me is I love dressing up for stuff. I think my bio on TikTok is like probably overdressed, because that's just, I love that. I seriously love dressing up. And the boots, I saw them from a girl from Bama, I think. She had like these tall white cowboy boots and did like red and white, obviously red and white, similar here, lace and ribbon, and then football ribbons. And I was like, that is so cool. I want to try that for one of our games. And then when we were doing a blackout theme, I was like, oh, perfect. I have cowboy boots. And I decided all of this probably like 3 hours before the game started. So I rushed to Hobby Lobby and got whatever ribbon I could find, rushed home, and then made the boots. And I thought they turned out really cool. I think it is kind of interesting, though, how you'll see a lot of trends almost get like passed down from like SEC schools to then Big Ten schools. There's something interesting about that. But yeah.
For sure. I've talked about that before. I think it's a lot of people, and not to reference the Bama documentary because that's a whole controversial thing in itself, but there is truth in there a little bit where, you know, schools look to Bama, which is crazy. I mean, Bama has so much money, so they are just doing the utmost of like everything, which good for them. But I think it's so true is people really do find a lot in what Bama is doing and either tweak it a little bit or follow the trend. I think it's very interesting. And I thought one of the trends to come out of Bama, I do like the boot decorative trend. Tay, if you've got anything you want to add.
Well, I just loved it because I was like, I have a pair of cowboy boots that I didn't bring to school because I was like, when am I ever going to wear these? And then I saw her video and I was like, she dressed them up. She made them IU. Like, my boots sitting in my closet can do that too. So then I was like, okay, maybe when I come home next weekend, I'm bringing the boots back with me and we're going to do something, dress them up, maybe steal Skylar's idea and, you know, make a new game day fit. So
I will say I almost don't suggest this. Like, if you have shorter boots, not like short as in size, I mean short as in heel, it would probably be better because mine were like 4 inches, and wearing that to like walk to the stadium, walk around the tailgates, and then stand for 4 hours. Granted, we all left early, but it still hurt, so.
Yeah. But I'm excited for, you know, us to do basketball season together, the fun, like game day outfits, you know, maybe we can make, who knows, TikToks, collabs, whatever we want to do, but just have fun with it and just enjoy, you know, that little aspect, because I would definitely want to have it out there for the sake of memories to have with that, because that's, you know, what college is about. But we thank you guys so much. We thank Skylar for joining us today. This has been such a good series, and I honestly, it's better than I ever thought that it was going to be. So I'm so excited to have this out to you guys. But as always, we love you. We're here for you. Please DM us, comment on our YouTube, hit us up on the Spotify Q&A. We would love to hear from you. And we hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we will see you in the next one. I'm Lex.
And I'm Tay.
And this is our take on college.